know, like, and trust. Do they know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? If they don't know you right now, how can they get to know you? Do they like you? Maybe they like your stuff, or they've heard about what you do, that kind of thing. Trust is built through obviously being on set, but they might trust you because they've heard about what you do. So know, like, and trust is really important. It's not to rely on your agent. It's not just about your agent, because especially if the agent's quite new as well, they've only been around for 3 years, they're still learning the ropes themselves. So we don't know what the relationships are like that they have. So you need to think about how you can build relationships, but also take control of your career by maybe even writing your own project. It's going back to your why. It's really important. Think about why you started this in the first place. Why is it so important to you? And this will change at different parts of your career because your priorities change, our responsibilities change. They're saying to themselves, I'm not good enough, or I did the best I could. So when we do that, then our thought process changes. But also, I think what was really helpful is giving what you mentioned about audition anxiety, focusing on the outcome. And quite often the outcome never happens. You know, we imagine the worst case scenario, but when does it usually happen? We always think about the worst. So what I usually do with them is
So hey everyone, today I have with me a very wonderful guest. Her name is Natasha Rose Mills. She is from the UK. She helps actors and people who are starting into industry in a way where when there is anxiety while doing audition, when there is uncertainty in the business of entertainment, when there's a problem of dealing with money, the financial situation for an actor, for an actress, for people who are starting out in this industry. She is career and mindset coach. She is now working on her own film production company, which is where she is a co-founder of that company. She's worked in very popular films over the years. She has 10 years of experience. And now we got into contact because she was in the network of our UK community. And that's where we got into contact. So today I have with me Natasha Rose Miles. She is career and mindset coach from UK. Welcome to the show, Natasha.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, great. So, to everyone, the beautiful part about this interview is we were looking to do this interview a couple of months back. Okay, so we are on and off, on and off, on and off with this part where she was texting, I was off the network. I was texting, she was off the network, and the whole thing was going on and off. And suddenly one day we thought, hey, we have to book this down. We have to find a date and we have to do this. So this date today has been booked 2 months ago. Okay, we did this in, I guess, September, I guess. No, June, July, I guess, September, around August, we did it. And that's why we finalized, because she is working professional. She's helping a lot of artists. She must be having sessions and all. So this was a part where we were trying to get this done. And this is the important part to all the actors and aspiring actors who are going to listen to this, because she's a coach. She is helping you guys out who are just starting in the industry with how to deal with anxiety auditions, the rejection part where you have to face a rejection. That's where she comes up and helps you guys to deal with it. And that's the reason I was interested in, getting to know her. She was interested because she saw our show and the content, and she's like, hey, this looks good. We are perfect. We should do it. And I'm glad that we are here, Natasha. So how your day looks like as an artist, is it filled with exercises? Because you are a mindset coach. So how you figure out, how you structure your day, even if there is nothing on the day and nothing on the calendar, how you structure your day?
So what I do, I think it's really important to have a daily routine. And what I usually do is I'd start the day. Right, what I start the day with now is I do a journaling practice. I usually journaling practice with intention. And because I teach actors around inner voice as well, so connecting to their inner voice, understanding the intuition side of things, I do my own inner voice work in the morning. Then I would do a mindfulness meditation practice, which might look like a self-awareness practice, or through a body scan, self-compassionate body scan. So it's slightly different to a longer body scan, if anyone has used that before. It's shorter, it's more compassionate, it's connecting to the body, but from like a compassionate sort of place. And then I would go for a walk, because I think, we need to exercise. It's really important to exercise. And you don't necessarily just have to just go to the gym. because if you just go to the gym, you have 30 minutes in the gym, that's not usually enough. So your body needs time to move. So I go
Yeah.
out for a walk. And what I usually do if I'm working on something in particular, so I do a lot of written work. I do a lot of written work around courses. I'm currently working on a challenge as well for actors. It's called
Oh,
Creating Control,
God.
empowering actors' journey of their future. So I would say empowering their future, which is
God.
important to do. So lots of different aspects around that.
Mm.
What I do when I'm working on things is I take breaks. Okay, so if you take a break, it allows your body to repair, and you always have a different perspective when you come back to it. So it's
God.
connecting to how do I feel in this moment. I always ask myself those questions. Go away. Maybe it might be I'm working on something for an hour or two, and then I have a 5 or 10 minute break. So that's kind of, I'd say that would be my daily routine.
I guess this is filled with a lot of stuff, and it is hard to follow if you are, lazy one. It's really hard to follow if you're lazy in the day and getting up. This is a lot of structure. It's like a timetable. You got it. It's like all the tick marks. I know. I guess you got it scheduled somewhere. All this timetable. What you have to do. 8 p.m., 8:15, 8:30, 8:45. It's kind of filled with that. And tell me, Natasha, here is what are the things that you told till now can any actor copy here and use it in his or her morning routine? Like from this, what are something that they can literally copy paste and make their life better? Which are those things that you recommend them?
So firstly, is what you mentioned about is sometimes we get lazy, but also it
Yeah,
takes time for our brain to build repetition and get used to it
yeah,
because our brain is so hardwired for negativity, and it's not used to it. So you need to get into that routine. So what I say is use your phone. Use Google Calendar, because if you have Google Calendar, you can select things on your Google Calendar at specific points where, let's say in the morning, we're going to do a journaling practice if you want to, or you want to do meditation practice. And then we want to color code it. I usually color code things, so you can color code them on your Google, but red or purple, whatever you want to do. And then you have a look at the next section. So if you have it down also, because then you're going to get notifications, and that's really helpful for me because it
got it.
keeps you on track. But the only way you're going to stay on track is your brain needs to get used to what's going to happen, and it takes time to build that. So let's say you're going to do it, I think it's like 90 days for your brain to build a habit or something.
Yeah, got it, got it, got it. I guess there's a study that it takes 21 days to form a habit, and there should be
Oh yeah,
repetition.
21
So
days. Yeah.
yeah. So the part where she told is like set a Google Calendar, and
Mm,
these are some habits that any actor who's looking to get perfect, there should be the pattern that you should follow and repeat that regularly. So whatever she said, you
mm,
should follow it in a way where give yourself time that you are going to fail, and give yourself time to breathe. Where okay, it didn't work in 10 out of 9 times, or 10 out of 8 times you made it happen. So
mm,
kind of 6, 7, 8, 9, and in that way you can form this habit. And because whatever she's doing as a professional, if you do that, if you're starting a journey, is really going to help you to build that habit, and that becomes you now after 6
mm,
months, and that is new
mm,
you. And I guess that is really helping everyone who is getting these things done. Okay, it was great knowing that part of you, Natasha. And today you are a coach who is helping out actors. You are also running your own company. You are working on auditions where your agent is helping you out. You're working on courses and writing stuff a lot, helping actors with challenges and all. So you're dealing with a lot of stuff here. It's like completely professional packed up schedule for you. But you also started as a beginner. You also started as someone who had no knowledge and just the love for this field, and you were completely blindsided by, I want to be an actress, I want to be in cinema, I want to be in the film.
mhm,
And that you when you were in your childhood, when you were in school, when you were in college, was always looking to find how should you get there, how was looking to find a way how you should go for it. I want to be there, but I don't know how I can go for it. So we are going to jump on that, Natasha, that girl who was really in deep love of acting. Okay, and she was looking to find ways because she was looking to be an actor, and then she navigated her way. So take us back to the part where you actually found that, hey, acting is the thing that I want to be participate in, school, college drama. So what was that period? When did you fall in love with this?
I think ever since when I was at school, I'm going to go to
Okay.
writing stories because I used to love writing stories. One in particular with my friend, we used to just sit there and just write stories. So I think that's where it started. But there was also the role play side of things. I always loved to act things out. I remember I used to do fashion shows. And I used to
Good.
just put on fashion shows and things like that. It's a little bit different because I also love modelling as
Fashion.
well.
You
I
model
just put on
also in school.
fashion shows and dress up and
Wow.
but those fashion shows in from being a child and acting those things
Oh
out
yeah.
was
Yeah.
something I
Yeah.
wanted to do. But I
Yeah.
did a bit of modelling as well. I have done a bit of modelling with
Got.
for a book, Elaine Everest on the
Mm-hmm.
Tea Shop Girls. You'll be able to Google it on
Got.
Google. You'll be able to find some books with my face on.
Okay.
And Getty Images. I used to really love modelling. But go back to the acting side of things.
So you started modeling. Like the
Yes,
love, the fun part was all about modeling.
yeah.
So
It was to
what
start with.
happened? So what happened that you switched? Like, did it completely stop? That what was the switch?
I did enjoy modelling. I
Mhm.
liked to be in front of the camera,
Mhm.
and I think that was really part of it. But the it wasn't all I wanted to do. I wanted to do it because it can pay
Oh,
fairly well, but at the
God.
same time, it wasn't all I wanted to do. And during that time of obviously when I was a lot younger, I was doing role plays and things like that. And then I went to obviously school. At the end of school, the only thing I wanted to do was performing arts. And my,
Oh,
everybody else would say to me, why don't you do something else? That's not really a career and all of this. But I decided actually, for me, I wanted to do performing arts because I wanted to sing and I used to write songs and I was a
God.
part of this band as well. And back in the day, I was also working with a rapper and I've done a lot of different things.
Wow. What are you
Yeah,
saying? Like
performances
every
and
you
things.
did everything, I guess.
Back in the day, yes. So
Yeah.
I to start with, when I studied performing arts, I did a first diploma in that, and it was the main basics that I learned because I didn't really know what to expect when I did this course, and it just gave me, I suppose, not really quite a foundation, but I suppose a little bit of a foundation level.
God.
After that, I think it was like 2012. Um, I ended up going to this small drama school, YPTC, that I
Mm-hmm.
learned a little bit more things about
God.
Laban. If you've done Laban before, it's very animalistic, physicality. It's very much in physicality.
All the training part.
Yeah, the training part of that, and also stage combat. Again, writing scenes, writing
God.
stories. I really enjoyed that. The only thing I think it was lacking was the business side. So I had
Hmm.
absolutely no idea what to do when I finished because back then all we had was Star Now. I probably wasn't on Star Now when I was actually studying at the time,
Got it. Yeah,
and
limited.
yeah, very limited.
Yep. Got it, got it, got it. And the part where you told me like you're doing modeling, you're working with music band, you're working with rappers, that sounds like fun, Natasha. And that was completely different lifestyle that you had. Suddenly changed yourself to performing arts. You figured out you want to be an actor, and then you figured out a place where you can train yourself as an artist, and where you kind of living the dream. What were you as a kid? Were you extrovert or were you introvert? Like what were the things that was going on? Because people connecting to acting are more of introvert, what I can see, 90 10, we can put that thing, because they like to read, they like to listen, they like to watch, they like to kind of absorb things, because a lot of things are going inner side of everything. Okay, they are creating their own worlds. So what were you as a kid? Like, were you introvert, were you extrovert? What was your behavior type?
I would say I was an introvert. I was very
Okay.
shy growing up,
Okay.
but I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to perform. It was also, I think it
Mhm.
was more for me. It was performing. I just wanted to perform.
Just want to
So
perform.
yeah, I just wanted to perform, and I liked my own company, and I think
Hmm.
that's where the writing aspect comes from it as well, because quite often
Good.
people that are writers usually like their own company. They like to have their own space to be able to get into that mindset and imaginary characters and how we could bring them to life and exploring that.
Good. Got it. Got it. So you went into the training part where you trained yourself, and the training was like how many years you trained yourself? The
So
professional.
I think I'm trying to think back really because I went to college. I did a couple of
It's
years.
like Oxford City College and
Yeah, Oxford
YPT
City
Theatre Drama School.
College. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
was,
the
I think,
foundation part of yours, like 2 years, 3 years,
um, yeah, 2 years.
two
And
years.
YPTC, that was a foundation course I did for a year.
Got it, got it. So overall 3 years we are saying, and in those 3 years we go through all of the exercises you told me. You went to writing, you went to combat training, you went through stage drama, performing and all. So throughout that, you may have went through a lot of sessions of actors, directors who are doing well in
Mm.
the TV industry, doing proper well, professional and all, 10 plus years experience like you are now, 15 plus year experience doing well in stage, studios, dramas. Is there any lesson that throughout that whole 3 years that is with you today, that you still remember, which is really helpful for you in figuring out anything that is going on in your professional career? Is there any lesson or any line that you remember that is really helping out?
That's a really hard question to answer, because all I
Yeah,
can
I know
really,
that.
I can't really think of anything from, it was so long ago
Like any moment, like
to,
any scene, any situation that happened that you remember. It may be not helping you, but that is really live.
I think it was, I think it really, from where I am now, I think it was mostly to the fact that this is just a foundation. This isn't all, and you're going to need more development.
Oh,
That's the perspective that I have, because I not only so I went to YPTC, and then I also, Adam Deacon had a drama school back in the day. I went there.
okay, okay.
So it was getting those little pieces and working towards where I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
But where I am now, realizing back then what I know now, that what I needed was, I needed to understand the business side as well as
Got it.
understanding the aspect of the training, acting training.
Got it, got it. So it was major part where that this is just the foundation part. This is what I'm going to get in this particular period, and I'm looking to figure out how to go to the business part of this. That is the one part you're looking to figure out, and it's good to know. I just googled Adam Deacon. That's where I guess he was doing this. Okay, you also attended his workshops. Got it, got it. Okay, so as we are talking about you getting into acting, what happened next? Because it's not just the foundation course that you did. You
Mm.
did a lot of training. So what did you do next once you went straight to auditions? You went to perform in theater plays. What was that? What was that part?
I just wanted to try and get myself out there. I wanted to start doing castings, but I didn't really know where to start. I'm Google,
Yeah,
just looking at Google. So that was when I registered myself on Star Now. I mean, that's a good place to start.
got
I had a client recently, and he's just starting. I'd say Star Now is a good place to start. And that's where I started back in the day, because the castings were good. They had a range of modelling, acting, all sorts of stuff, even survival jobs. So
got
I was on there. But also later on, I was part of this other group where I went to a showcase in Paris, and I was part of this showcase in Paris. International showcase. I'm trying to think what it was called, but it was a long time ago. So I performed at this international showcase in Paris because I wanted to be part of that. So I got to meet different professionals in the industry back then.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so you applied for auditions and all, like casting for any films or any TV shows were going on. So you now help people with a lot of audition anxiety and everything. Okay, so tell me about your first audition. How was that? Do you remember that? And how were you feeling? What you got it? Tell me about that experience.
um, Very frustrating, because
Okay,
back in the day, I just focus on,
expectations a lot.
yeah, of course, it's the expectations you
Yeah,
have of yourself, and you
yeah.
think you think you're not going to do good enough, so you've got all
Mm,
these stories that you tell yourself that end up holding you back. But also,
yeah.
what I find a lot of actors do is they focus on the lines, and I was very much doing that. And I think that's a normal thing to do, to focus on
Mm-hmm.
the lines when you're just starting out, because you think that it's about memorization, but it's not at all.
Got
So I was focusing on the lines. I just wanted to get it right, but and that's where I was getting frustrated. Not all the time,
okay.
and sometimes I would get the audition, and back then I didn't have that experience of
Yeah.
like I do now. So
What was the key learning from that part? Like every audition you go and give, and what were you coming up with the key takeaways from particular auditions? Like what were you used to do once you came to know, like, hey, that didn't work out? So what was the next thing that you used to do?
then the next thing, I think back then, it was just keep going. I'd be honest with myself, because I didn't have the
Mhm.
tools. I hadn't studied. I haven't by then. I didn't do what I'm doing now. I
Yeah,
would go into a cycle of beating myself up if I got that feeling of rejection, and
yeah.
I didn't get that role. So I would eventually, I would do it again. I would just do it again. So I had a form of resilience. I had something within me that was almost just that tie between the fears and the worries of not getting it, but also the passion and the drive that I had, that I was going to do it anyway.
Got it, got it. And I guess that's the part which is leading you now to help other actors. That's one thing that you developed inside yourself. Okay, so back in the days, you were nervous, you were thinking a lot, you're getting frustrated, and a lot of things were happening because it was new to you. That's where figuring out, hey, this is what I'm processing, but it's not working for me at this moment, and that is really frustrating me. Now in 2024, how you prepare for an audition? What are the things that you do? What are the exercises that you do? How you prepare if someone just gives you the script and hey Natasha, this is the script, this is what we got, this is the time we got, and I want you to do it, let's go for it.
So I have a specific formula that I use. I
Okay.
go through it every time, asking specific questions related to the character. Firstly, I would go through the fact finding. I would do as much research as I can that I can find out about the character, the story, which is really important. You should know the story. And I would see how I can relate, because if we find it hard or it's quite sticky, then I think being able to ask yourself that question, what would I do in that situation? It invokes something within you, so you're able to make better decisions and better choices. So
Got it.
I go through a series of work, including understanding the emotions of character, because it's not about the character, it's about human behavior. And I see the character as a human being rather than an actual character. So as a human being, we go through these different emotions, we go through these different challenges, obstacles within life. How can we overcome them? Also, how do we connect through empathy with others? How can we step
Got
into the other person's shoes? Like if I'm with somebody else, what relationship do I have with that person? How can I connect with that person through stepping into their shoes and understanding them? Because it's really about how we can connect with others and not just ourselves. And I think when we start out in the industry, it's very much
got it.
me, because I'm trying to learn. We
Yeah.
forget about everything else around us, which contributes to that, So
Got it.
it's more expansive. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So one thing here is, how do you now deal with the anxiety part here? How do you deal with the audition anxiety as an exercises? Is there any exercise that you do? How you control yourself?
So there's two things I do. When it comes to anxiety, what I do myself and what I also teach clients is, because when we feel anxiety, it's usually the thought that we have that leads to that anxiety in the first place. If I'm thinking I'm not good enough or this isn't going to go well, I'm probably going to feel anxiety based on that, because that's the form, that's how things are, and that's how we are in terms of our makeup. So what I would do, what breaks the cycle of stress anxiety, is simply breathing. It's just breathing, because what we do when we feel anxiety, what I've done is hold my breath. So we don't always realize we're doing it. So instinctively, we hold our breath. We breathe in for 4, and then hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, and do that for about 3 or 4 times. After that, what I would do is offer myself reassurance. The reassurance seems to have that gateway to bridge the gap between what's the separate mind and the separate self of what I'm feeling within myself. And it's
Got
what you would say to a good friend. And that always makes a difference.
Got it, got it. And I guess these are very simple exercises, but very profitable for an actor who is looking to give an audition and is not looking to mess that up just because he is anxious. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is something what she told. You should actually write this down and figure out and perform, before doing the audition. I guess this is really helpful for any actor who's looking to get this done. Kind of book a role or looking to make an impression on the casting director. Okay, this sounds good. So now we are going to jump on the part of you preparing for a character. Okay, but before that, I want to congratulate you for the success that film that you did had was Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Okay, congratulations for the success of the film. Uh, I'm just curious here, and everyone else, because that film got featured, in the Hollywood Reporter, in Variety magazine, mentioned about the cast, the makings, and everything. Also in Screen Rant, I guess that was also one mention about the characters and all. Tell me one thing here is, how did that casting happen? Like, what was the prep? You went through auditions. How many times you went through auditions? What was the what do you say, the pitch for you for that particular character, which was Jess, I guess, right?
Mm, mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
So tell us about how did that casting happen?
mm. So actually, because I did Return of Krampus before with the same company,
Mhm.
which was I was Lisa. I played an ex-lawyer. We don't really see that aspect
Okay.
of her past life.
Good.
Um, so what happened was, after that film, the director just messaged me and thought I'd be
Hmm.
right for this character. He told me about Jess. I thought I really liked the sound of her. I felt like that she had some similar personality traits to me that I felt like I could bring
Good.
to the role.
Hmm.
There was a type of her worry and concerns, but there was also that she was motherly and supportive, and I really liked that part in particular.
Good.
So that's how I ended up getting the role. It was almost like, I remember when he told me for the first time about Winnie the Pooh. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, because it's not something that's
Yeah, it's madness. It's completely dark. Yeah, we need the blood and honey, I guess. Okay, got it. Got it. Good to know that.
type.
So before you talk about the character, just help everyone about the project, about the film. In
Mhm.
short, about the story, so they can get an idea what we are talking here.
Yes, of course. So Return of Krampus is it's about Lisa. She's an ex-lawyer. She's going through a difficult time after losing her brother
Got it.
and also her parents, but she lost her parents when she was growing up. She's disassociated with reality. She has a boyfriend that's supportive, who's helping her
Yeah.
through a difficult time. But also the other side of that is he's having an affair. And she in some ways she understands, she actually sees that he's having an affair, but she's not making that obvious. So
Okay.
subconsciously she knows. And it's the toy between, because we had the different sides of her. We had the sweet, the caring, the sweet side of her, where she just wanted to help others and also show that she's a nice person, but she's going through a difficult time. And then the other side of her is more I say like kind of animalistic. It's more
Yeah.
kind of like she's dissociated from reality. She has mental health problems, but we don't kind of see, like, we don't really know the reality, that what's actually happening in the film. Is it really happening, or is this in her mind? Has she
So
created this herself? So it's the switch between the blurring the reality and what's actually real.
got it. Got it. Got it. So, what were the things that you did as as an exercise or as a prep process for this character? What were the things that you did as an, like tick mark yourself? So this is what I need to do in order to get into the character. Is there anything that you can discuss?
Well, because there was different sides of her, there was some sides which I found easier to do, where it was just the kind of normal sides that were dealing with grief and understanding that. But then the other side, which was a little bit more complex, where we see that she goes into this mental state of mind and was like possessed. So
Okay. Yeah.
having to show that within a character, the cross between the two, and switching, and how can I switch? So it's really
Yeah.
understanding emotions, understanding what she could be experiencing. I do a lot of emotional work when I'm working on
Hmm.
characters.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. Okay. So being an actor, someone who was into modeling and working in bands and a lot of things as a kid, you got into acting, you performed, you did training yourself. What led you to take this decision of becoming this certified coach of, related to mental health, related to mindset and career? What do we say? This thing where you are going to help people. What led you to do this? Why did you take this decision of becoming this certified coach?
It was almost just like a pivot. I just changed because I ended up at one point in my life, I was going through a difficult time. So I was looking for a healing journey, but also because I wanted to help people as well.
Mhm.
So I typically do a lot of courses. So I did a life coaching course with
Got
Success Girls, and I'm part of CCA, Coaches Certified
Okay.
Alliance.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was doing a mindfulness compassion therapy course. So I did my level 4 with Mindfulness UK. And then from that, I think it was like a year later that I decided, because I was doing a 12-week course with somebody who was an actor. It's a lovely, lovely lady. And
Yeah.
it was just I found it very rewarding working with my first client on a 12-week course. This wasn't acting related, not really. It was mostly mindfulness. But we did
Got
talk a little bit about that. Later on, I wanted to pivot my business. And at that time, it was like, okay, business side of acting, I'm aware of that. I can do that. I wanted to help actors understand that, not just ones that are starting out in the industry, but also ones that are just unsure about their career, of where to go, maybe relying on their agent, but they're not booking roles. So they could be in the industry for a few years or maybe even longer. And
Got
I've worked with various clients with that as well. So I worked on the mindset side, and that was where things started to shift. I started with the mindset side in Amplify Creative, and then I
Yeah.
shifted and I started offering one-to-one with my clients and doing the business side with them. And then a year later, I pivoted again, and then I started to launch the side hustle side, which is exclusively only in Amplify Creative, but I will be launching a course soon to
Got
help actors that not just to rely on their acting career solely, because you need to think outside of that. And that's what I realized myself, that it's not healthy to just think about your acting career. You need to have an additional income source that's flexible. And this is where side hustle came into it. Flexibility, getting out of the job that you don't like, out of the 9 to 5. If you're not happy, then starting a side hustle might be for you. So I
Got
wanted to integrate that in there, as well as having that financial income, and it just made sense to me. So I started offering that as part of Amplify Creative with my clients.
Got it. Got it. Good to know that it's something that you're dealing with. You figured out a way, and then you thought like, hey, I can help a lot of other ones who are in the same industry and struggling with this part. Because being an actor, and actors deal with this mental health issues, and it's very common here in the industry. It's filled with all of the mental health issues, and kind of dealing with anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety filled in this industry, and I guess that's where you figured out, okay, this is the part where I can also help the clients and help them heal, help them make stronger, and kind of control over their anxiety and the fears that they have and uncertainty in the business. Got it. So we are jumping off now the part of rejection. Okay, this is something that we cannot stop. If you're an actor, you're going to go through rejections, like as long as you become perfect, but it's still not the part of being perfect. It's a part of, do you fit in that part? Is are you are they looking for you as a person? Because it's a lot about outer parts, the part where how you look, how they are looking the character to be like. So rejections are going to be there. It's nothing, it's something that people cannot, an actor, have no control over, but it feels really personal. So rejection feels really personal, and people who are not trained for it may feel like there is nothing for them, like there's nothing for them in this industry, and they feel hopeless.
So I'll go to what's helped me, but also other clients as well that I've worked with. Is yes, there's an aspect of, obviously, we do take things personally. We do think there's something wrong with me. Quite often I
Yeah.
felt that way in the past, so many times, countless times, where I really wanted this role and attach yourself to it. There's two things that I might say and also go through in terms of practices. But one in particular is, if you didn't get this role, doesn't mean that you won't get the next one. And also it's about leaving that lasting impression. It's really
Yeah.
important to think about that it's your first impression that you give off. That's what you have control over. If we think we have the control over a casting director's decision, then we're going to attach ourselves to an outcome, which can lead to those feelings, because it's a feeling, isn't it? Those feelings of
Yeah.
anxiety, unworthiness, that we end up attaching ourselves to. There's going to be other projects out there. It's not no period. It's just no, not right now, but there will be other projects. And also, I would say, going back to your why is really important, because when we get tainted, when we don't feel good enough, it's easy to revert back into just sometimes even just depression, just not
Yeah.
feeling like we can do this anymore. And I'm also, feeling lost. So I say, it's going back to your why. It's really important. Think about why you started this in the first place. Why is it so important to you? And this will change at different parts of your career because your priorities change, our responsibilities change. So that's a big part of that. But also reframing your thoughts. So in that particular moment, recognizing the thoughts you tell yourself, the stories that you tell yourself that hold you back, because they do. So I go through specific practices which help them to reframe their thoughts, reframe their thinking, and think about the opposite to what they're actually saying to themselves. How can they reframe those words that they say to themselves? They're saying to themselves, I'm not good enough, or I did the best I could. So when we do that, then our thought process changes. But also, I think what was really helpful is giving ourselves compassion when we need it. Because when we experience rejection, it can be really hard hitting. So what do you feel that part of you needs? And if we're not sure about what that part of us needs, we could think about what a friend would say to you, or what would your friend say to you in this position. Think about that person that you go to. You've got a friend that you call up that offers you that support when you go through rejection, any sort of challenges. What do they say to you? So that's kind of a way that I help them to gear towards self-compassion, because it bridges the gap to the why and also the reassurance, because we need both, don't we? We need that reassurance, but we also need that motivation to be able to keep going, to know that you're doing the best you can. So what sort of phrases and words are going to be helpful?
Got it. Building the gap, building the bridge between the why and the reassurance in order to pull you back and make sure you have that motivation in order to go for it again, one more time, and the big why and the bridging part is really important, because that's the one thing that helps everyone, in order to get that answer, like, why should I do this? Why is this important? Why I am here? And I guess that's part is really important, and it helps people who are just starting out in order to get that. And people who are interested, everything related to Natasha and her coaching part will be you can check that out in the description below. So everything related to, in order to contact her, you can figure that out too. You can check the show notes on that. Okay, so we jump on to the part of here is audition anxiety. Okay, so whenever we are going to do anything, there is a little bit of anxiety, and we all have it, and it's something that everyone has. And there's a part which is called as good anxiety, where you should have some kind of anxiety in order to do it, but it's too much, where you think a lot and you continuously think a lot. And actor being, major of them are introverts, and major of them think a lot. So there's multiple thoughts going on inside our head, and that leads to a big huge anxiety while we are delivering an audition, because there's a stage fright also involved at the same time. Okay, so people who are just starting out, aspiring actors, or people who are still there and looking for a solution to this, because they prepared so hard, but there's a fear that they might screw this up, they might fail on this particular moment, where they think that I am really well prepared, but I'm just very anxious, I cannot get through this. So, what are the most common fears you see actors face, and how do you help them overcome via the service that you provide?
So, the common fears that I find actors face is what you mentioned about audition anxiety, is the worry that it's not going to work out. It's that the words that we tell ourselves. It's also the self-sabotage, isn't it, that I've had from myself, but also clients that I've worked with, that really was overthinking, wanted to go to this audition, but then ended up not going to the audition because they feared focusing on the outcome. And quite often the outcome never happens. We imagine the worst case scenario, but when does it usually happen? We always think about the worst. So what I usually do with them is I do practices, because I always find doing practices, helping them to connect to themselves, is a lot more effective than just doing written work. I'd also maybe ask them, when we look at doing maybe CBT or something like that, then it would be reframing and asking them, what's the evidence behind it? What's the evidence behind you thinking that way? And we come up with a lot of different evidence, won't we? We come up with these different stories, but is it true? It hasn't happened yet. Is it true? And also, what if? So we've got beginner's mind. So the other side of that, what if it works out? What if it actually works out? And beginner's mind links into thinking about when you're a child, you're seeing things as fresh and new. How can I see from a fresh and new perspective? That's a good thing to do. If we're not able to give ourselves the compassion and it's not working for us right now, then maybe we can see from a different perspective. How can I reframe it? So really we're looking at reframing those thoughts to beginner's mind. What if it works out? Because your brain will go, oh, okay, what if it actually does work out? Because if we tell ourselves the negative, we'll say it's not going to work out for me, then your brain is searching for all the reasons why it's not going to work out. And, it's going to be this reason, this reason, this reason. It's going to go on a spiral. But if we say to ourselves, what if it works out? Your brain is going to go, okay, it might, then this, and then this, and this, and this. And then you actually create a different thought process, different imagery as well, because imagery is going to help you. It's all about visualization is a very effective part of that.
It's the part that you told me. One of your clients were looking to go to audition, and they didn't. And they thought like, hey, I can't do this. And I guess this is the extreme of what people go through in their mind. And the part where what if, into the part where it would work, what if this will go to the next level? And that is a thought that you need to plant in your head. And it is something that you need to plant and water a lot of times, in order to build that whole tree where you think, yeah, it is possible. So you can take more risks, and risk-taking behavior inside this field is going to help you out in order to get over anxiety and figure out what are the possibilities that you can put out into this world and help people who are looking to get this project done. And you may be the one who they were looking for. And I guess once you plant that particular part inside your head, inside your brain, that will help you out to get over this. And that's a very beautiful part that you said, like it's all about the mindset and the things that you thought happened to you when you were a kid and when you were growing up, and that may not be true. And that's the thing that you want to overcome. So anxiety is basically what you see happen to you that has never happened to you now, and maybe it would work out in a completely different way if you trust yourself. And that is the best part that Natasha sorts out with the services that she provides. Okay, good to know that. And now we are focusing on the part of personal branding. You also help actors with side hustles. You also help them with networking. You also help them with building themselves, in a personal branding part where how they can place themselves in the part of social media networks. So what are the things actors should do in order to build their personal brands? What should they figure out, and what are the key elements they should focus when they're looking to build their personal brand?
Personal brand, what I will say is being patient with yourself, recognizing where you are right now, and that it does take time. But the first step is USP, is having a unique selling point. And we all have a unique selling point, but it's easy to say that. I mean, that's obviously talked about in business when you're just starting out as well, having unique selling point. So if you have a new business, knowing your personality, knowing what's unique about you will set you apart from everybody else that's doing the same thing. Okay, so, if you're connecting to agents or casting directors, then it just set you apart. And social media is a big part of that because it shows your personal brand. If you've got your show reel, you've got your headshots, but it's more than just your headshots and your show reel. It's showing you what else you do. So I always say that to other clients because I hear so many clients that are doing the interesting things other than just they're an actor. I bet you're just not an actor. I bet you're something else as well. I bet you're an electrician, a doctor. And it's showing how we can start to integrate that into our personal brand because that's what's unique about you.
Good. I guess, that kind of helps everyone out. And this part of building personal brand, because there are a lot of actors who are looking to figure out and they had no idea of how social media works and how to deal with this particular part. They are very good actors and they're doing well on social media. But there are very, they're in the part of various parts of the world where they had no idea how to use this as a tool in order to build their personal brand or create a career of, as an actor where they can display themselves, the work they did, the works and the parts and the project they're part of, and put that on social media and create a portfolio in order when people are looking for actors, they can really search them and find them in the SEO and get them, connected via email and all. And I guess this plays a very big part in order to showcase, in order to land yourself in some projects that you had no idea this is how it may work. Okay, so yeah, it is important. Okay, it's good to know that. Now we'd like to focus on Rapid fire questions. Okay, so there's going to be a rapid fire. You can answer slowly, but this section is called is rapid fire. So it's going to be, I guess, 10, 12 questions. So here we begin. Okay. Biggest lesson you've learned as an actor?
The lesson I learned, best lesson I've learned as an actor is that you need to be able to accept help. And sometimes we want to do everything ourselves. And I hear this quite often, that I can do this myself. And I realized quite soon that I can't, but I might be struggling for many years before I even say, I'm going to work with this mentor, I'm going to work with this person. So big thing is accepting help, knowing that I can't do everything myself, but also knowing that I'm stronger than I think. I'm not made of glass. I can do this. And sometimes we do lean into that. Nothing wrong with leaning into vulnerability, but when we categorize ourselves as I'm a sensitive person, then it can hold us back sometimes. So I think big thing is understanding yourself, and I think that links to that part of the personal brand as well. It's all part of personal development of you as a person, which would help to define your acting career.
Got it.
It makes you
Most
stronger,
challenging.
resilient.
Yeah, but this is rapid fire, so you got to keep it okay.
Short.
So
Sorry.
it's kind of short. You can take time, but it is shorter version of it. Okay. So most challenging character you've played?
Most challenging character I've played, I did find the Jess character very challenging. Getting into the character was exploring emotions, and that was very difficult. Especially there was one particular scene of when I was running into the house and seeing a dead body. So having to almost like get into that mindset and then snapping out of that and realizing that I'm coming back into reality. It's my process. So
one role you wish you could play again differently?
That's a hard question to say right now, actually. I don't think there is any that I can say right now. That might change at some point, but there isn't any particular role right now.
Till 2020. Okay, got it. Okay, the best part of character preparation?
Best part of character preparation, I just love it. I just love actually doing the work, especially if it's
the
really
research part,
juicy. Sorry?
Research part.
Yeah, exactly. The research part. Especially if it's a really interesting script or character, then I love the research part. I love getting into the character's mindset and seeing how I can relate to them. So, yeah.
The toughest audition you've faced?
Toughest audition? Trying to think. I mean, there has been a few tough auditions where I've had one audition and then I had to go to a second round again. And when these things happen and you have a second round of auditions, it can be very frustrating. And it can. So there has been.
Yeah. Favorite accent to perform?
Oh, I love doing the American accent. American accent, Irish accent, Northern accent. That's probably my favorites.
Got it. Stage comeback or emotional scenes? What's more challenging?
That's a difficult, because you've got obviously the physical side. And then you've got the emotional side, haven't you? Psychological side. So I think maybe they go hand in hand, because if you go to an emotional state of a character, but you also have to be careful because you've got Meisner, haven't you? And with Meisner, you can re-traumatize yourself. So you need to stay safe. So I never do that myself. So I think that aspect of, emotional and also stage combat.
No. Can you pick one? This is rapid fire. You only got one option. So this is something that you have to choose one thing. Choose one.
Choose one. Yeah. Well, for me, I think emotional. It can be really challenging. Yeah, because especially if you're having to revisit things after take. So.
Good. What's your go-to method for relaxing after a long day on set?
Just lying down. I might do a body scan practice. I used to do a lot of body scan practices, and I would journal. I don't do a lot of journaling now.
Good. Dream director you'd love to work with?
Christopher Nolan.
Cool.
I really liked him. I think he's a brilliant director. Also watching Inception. So yeah.
Good. What's the one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
One piece of advice? I'm just going to go straight back to what I said about that you don't have to do everything by yourself. That it's okay to accept help. And there's going,
Okay. So this was rapid fire, kind of something that she really answered in detail. So you got why she answered that particular better question. So we got it, we finished it. And now, thank you so much for all the things that you said till this moment, Natasha. It was great having you. This part of interview where we are going to the end session of this interview. So I'd like to know, for actors who are just starting out and facing career uncertainties, what's the most important piece of advice you'd give to them?
Somebody's feeling that career uncertainty, what I will
Yeah.
say is that, going back to what I said about being able to accept help, that you can't do it all yourself like I thought I could in the past.
Yeah.
And that where you are right now, that things can change. Sometimes when we focus on that big mountain, don't we? We want to be at the top of the hill, but when we're down here, and then we also compare ourselves to other people. What matters is what you're doing, and your journey is going to be different to other people. And you're
Yeah.
on the right path. But just be mindful of the fact of being able to accept help. That you can't do everything by yourself.
So now is what's the first step actors should take to manage audition anxiety and approach audition with confidence?
With audition anxiety, it is understanding that it's anxiety is a form of a thought that we've had that's led to that feeling of anxiety. So the first step is, if you're feeling anxiety, is connecting to the breath, is to brace the cycle of stress and anxiety. First step, doing the 4 square breathing can be helpful. And then just giving yourself compassion. But you can do it in a way where just saying to yourself, I've got this. Because then we've got you've got the 2 different sides of compassion that I teach. You've got the reassurance when we go for a difficult time, but we've also got the encouragement side. So think about how you talk to yourself and how you can give yourself that compassion, almost like the wisest part of yourself, because that's what it is. It's the wisest part of yourself.
Got it. Thank you so much. So, Natasha, you've been someone who really took kind of bold moves and kind of very intellectual moves throughout your career. You started your own film production here. So, can I know more about the production house? What are the projects that you're coming up with, and what we can know about what's happening with the production?
Sure. So it's called Blue Glass Films.
Okay.
We do a range of projects. So because we launched earlier this year. We do noir thrillers, which are either relatable. We do relatable dramas or noir thrillers that are cross between blurring the lines of reality, because I like those type of films. Thought-provoking. And the last film that we did, noir thriller, which is called Dead Name, is about an ex-hit woman that's sent on a mission to kill her brother, but nothing is what it seems. She comes from this crime family.
Yeah.
And it's those cross between their gender identity and the fears that we have about change and transitioning and being able to be something else, and it's that fight that we have with ourselves. So it's explored in that way. So you can see it will be out very, very soon. And our next project is, I can't really say too much about it. It's a mystery thriller.
Got it. So tell me about your team, how you figured out this production house, because you are co-founder of this production. So how you figured out this journey, which year you figured out, hey, I have to start my own production now. And it's I will be working with them, but I want to do this certain projects and I want to have a team with me. So tell us more about your team and how you co-founded it and what was the journey like?
So it's just me and Warren currently. So me and my business partner, Warren. And he's a
So
director.
is he in the film? Okay, he is director.
Yeah, he's a director. He's a writer. I'm a writer and producer. I'm going to be directing my first project next year. I decided. Sorry.
Sounds good.
Thank you. So I decided I'm going to launch this film company because I wanted to take control of my career. I don't want to have to rely on my agents to book me roles. I wanted to take control of it, but in a way where I was always interested in what's going on behind the camera. It's not just about, and I think that's what really intrigued me. So I wanted to do that. And because I'm very much into building relationships, networking, it just felt like it was a good fit to launch the film company.
Got it. And this sounds good. you want to take control. And I guess it
Mhm.
comes from the decisions that you've made overall throughout last 10 years. You got 10 years of experience, and I guess after doing all these things, that's where you figure out, now I had to make sure that I have control of whatever happens in my life. And I guess that's the one thing that made you coach today. You're
Mhm.
making sure that you came over, you healed yourself, whatever you were going through, mental health issues, you healed yourself. And I guess that part led you to take more decisions which are beneficial for you, and not put you in the place where you are in landing in the middle of fire and water. And you are really looking forward to figure out a way where you have a firm path, and you can bring more people in your projects, who are your clients too, and kind of build a foundation with this. And this is really cool to know that. So with this, I'd like to know about okay, I guess I forgot. But this was it. I'd like to know about your projects, your upcoming projects. But I guess there's a lot more of things that you mentioned also. It's under process. You're still working on it, and some you don't want to disclose it. But I guess it's a lot more working for you at this moment. Is there any piece of advice you'd like to pass on to an actor who's just starting out in UK, in US, in Ireland, in this industry, different part of the world, but the
Mhm.
journey is same. The anxiety is still same. The behavior of any actor, even if you change the country, is still the same. So is there any advice you'd like to pass on someone like you who's been in the industry for 10 years? You have your own production company now,
Mhm.
you are a producer at the same time, you are an actress also. So from producer's point of view, from the point of view who's looking to book an actor,
Mhm.
what an advice you have for someone who's starting out and now just going for auditions?
What I will say is not to rely on your agent. It's not just about your agent, because especially if the agent's quite new as well, they've only been around for 3 years, they're still learning the ropes themselves. So we don't know what the relationships are like that they have. So you need to think about how you can build relationships, but also take control of your career by maybe even writing your own project. If you want to start a film company, if that feels resonates with you, or you want to just write your own project. I remember when I did my first project, which was Colorblind. It's a short film based on the effects of domestic violence. And that
Okay.
was, I think that was about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago now.
Okay.
And obviously we have those fears, but it's once you do take that first step, it's taking that next logical step forward. But also I would say is think about where you are right now. If you're in a job that you don't like, or you're not getting the financial income, what else can
Yeah.
you do other than what you're currently doing? So maybe starting that side hustle might be for you. So you have more flexibility for self tapes and filming.
Yeah.
You have a flexible schedule, but also you have that financial security that makes you feel fulfilled. So I think that's a huge, huge part. You should feel fulfilled in what you do, not just feel fulfilled because you are acting, but feel fulfilled in your life. What can
All
fill your cup up?
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much for this valuable piece of advice. And people who are just starting out, and actors who are just starting out, this is something that you should, take note of, follow also, and make sure that you figure out what is the basic thing that she is saying throughout the 1 minute, 2 minutes she
Do you
gave
have
you.
one more
So
thing?
yeah, go on, add.
The other thing is being part of a community is really important, because when you're part of a community, you can support each other. You're not just in this
Yeah,
alone, because when we're an actor, quite often it is quite lonely because we are working on these things on our own unless we're on set. When you're part of a community, maybe that person you might be able to work with, you might be able to do a project with them. So being that part of that community gives you that support,
yeah,
reassurance, but also collaboration. So I say being part of a community is a big part. Having a support network, we all need that, don't we? Because
yeah,
we don't know, in terms of sometimes our parents aren't doing what we do, and they
yeah,
may not have worked out for them in what they wanted to do. So staying on your path, because you're doing really well. You are
yeah.
where you are right now. What step can you take that's the next logical step forward?
Got it, got it. And thank you for pulling out this point. That's how now I remember my question was the one that I forgot was how important networking is, and what do you think? What you can pull out something about networking for actors? How can they network, and what is the importance of networking in this industry?
Networking is massive. this is going to be your building blocks for what you need to do to book your roles. Because when you rely on casting sites, you're in the yes, no, or maybe pile. So it's yes, no, or maybe, and they can be a huge pile. We don't know. Casting websites, Spotlight. Whereas when you can build relationships through social media, and we look at these different parts, okay, we look at know, like, and trust. Do they know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? If they don't know you right now, how can they get to know you? Do they like you? Maybe they like your stuff, or they've heard about what you do, that kind of thing. And trust is built through obviously being on set, but they might trust you because they've heard about what you do. So know, like, and trust is really important. Using social media, connecting with other actors because you can see what they're doing. And these are a lot of the things that I teach, but I go in a lot more detail with what I do in Amplify Creative as well. So building relationships, networking is a huge part. Don't just rely on networking events because they're so and far few between. Social media is huge because you need to expand your network. And I've worked on quite a few projects where I've just networked myself. I've got it myself. I did an audition recently, and that was for my own networking. So that's how you build relationships. And these things take time.
Yeah, it takes time, but it is important to network, and networking can unlock a lot of things for you in order to where you don't have to go through the path of uncertainty. In that way, networking helps you to unlock that part where you have work continuously and can help you connect to something that may change your future. Okay. This is really good to know. So this is the final plug I have open for you. Is please go on and tell us what you do with Amplify Creatives and websites and email and contact, how people can reach out to you. So please tell everything about in this short plug.
Okay, so with Amplify Creative, it's a membership that I currently have. I work with actors and creators in the industry one-to-one basis. So I would do a session with them once a month, and they also have the group calls. And sometimes I bring in a film director that will teach an acting class, and then I would do a lot of the time personal development, mindset, mindfulness, compassion. We look at things like dealing with rejection anxiety. We look at inner voice, because inner voice is being able to connect to that part of you, part of your intuition, your inner child that knows what's right for you, and how we can lean into that and understand the difference between the inner critic and the inner voice and which one. So it's all about feeling sense within the body. I do a lot of the body work with them. Right. And things like building relationships, what you talked about, networking, I heavily do that. Also business side of acting, which is obviously part of that, personal branding, actors that are just starting out in the industry, don't know where to start. I hold them by the hand so they get that support. So personal branding, and also look at casting as well, casting types, understanding your type, and all of that really, as well as side hustle for actors. So I work with them through Amplify Creative with helping them to start a side hustle.
Okay, great. Please share the website, email, phone number, or whatever you can. Important is the website and mail. Everything will be mentioned. Okay, so do not worry, people. But in order to just end this note, help us with the website, how they can connect with you, mail, WhatsApp, website.
I have to leave it in the. So I do have. So currently, I have my Wix website.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Okay, so if no, that's not worry. Everything related to contacting her regarding email, WhatsApp, website, mail. People who are just looking to connect with her in order to figure this out and solve this problem. Make sure you go and check that out. Everything related to Amplify Creatives will be mentioned in the description, so you can connect, contact, and get in touch with Natasha. So yeah, that was good. Thank you, Natasha. This is what I was looking to figure out. So to everyone, her IMDb, a spotlight. The films that she did, articles you can go through, check out about her movie Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I guess. But everything related to her is in the description box, so you can go and check out that. So to everyone, this was Natasha from UK. I am Ajay Tambe, the host and producer of Creative Audio Starting Podcast. And now, before I sign out, make sure you go and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you go subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you go and check to all the stories and audio stories and dramas that we release on regular basis, so you can download them as per your convenience and listen when you get time, when you feel bored, when you are lost. So thank you for listening till this moment. Thank you for being so patient and listening to everything. To all the actors, this was the one thing that you were looking for. So make sure you make out notes and everything that you find valuable, so you can use it in your personal life and you can figure out a new pathway for yourself. Thank you. This was me, Ajay Tambe, and now I'm signing off.